Yes, E Yong, right? E Yong accumulate 1 million in CPF by 65. But tonight we are talking about accumulating 4 million by 65. So 1 million is already kacang putih already. Okay, tonight we want to talk big numbers.
Okay. Sifu, you want me to start first, Sifu?
Okay, good. Yeah, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining in our Zoom or webinar tonight. In fact, this is probably organized by my academy, Dragon Learning Resources Private Limited. All right. I presume that all of you can hear me clear. All right. So basically, just a short introduction here. Actually, by practice, I'm in real estate for the last 12 years. So it was until last year in October that I formed my own academy. All right. And what happened was exactly is that probably I just need to show you guys is that, for the last 5 years, I've been contributing my own CPF because I'm a self-employed. So every year, in fact, I'm contributing $37,740. All right, that's the maximum cap that all the self-employed and probably all employee of Singapore, they can contribute per year. So for the first 2 years, while I'm contributing at 37,000, basically the primary objective is to reduce tax correct, Sifu?
Yes.
But typically for the start, when I actually so-called, contribute my own CPF, what income one? Income means I can't park my money so willingly. In fact, but the main purpose is to save around probably that 20% or 15% of tax per year. I can probably save around 7,000 a year. So, but the thought of actually parking my money, that is real cash, into my CPF, right? I tell you, my heart really ached. And it was until 2 years continuously contribution for the first 2 years, I attend Lu, that's Sifu, his talk at Suntec itself. And that is when he was talking about 1M65. And from that very moment, right, that night itself, I have to acknowledge him. I did the most incredible thing in my life. I was convinced that 1M65 is the way to go, and the last 2 years of contribution is correct. What happened is that I actually transfer whatever funds I have in my OA to max my SA to 171,000. If my memory don't fail, that was few years back. To cap all the way to maximize my special account. All right. And then what happened is that over the last 3 years, I've been contributing, or in short, I put it short, over the last 5 years, I've been contributing 37,000, because in a way I'm a firm believer of 1M65, which I'm already in the group. Number 2, tax relief. And of course, number 3, over the last 5 years, I have shared this on a number of occasions at my company level, and even to my client who are very close with me. I've met 600 plus group of people where I do financial calculation for them. 600 plus group. And I met or I encounter 4 legends. And these 4 legends, right, two of them are couple. At the age of 55, they have 550,000 each in their OA and SA that can be redrawn anytime after set aside their full retirement sum. And then there's another man at 57 years old, which he bought Amber 45. At the age of 57, he has 750,000 that is withdrawable. And then there's one more elderly man that is at 67 years old. To date, he has more than 1.3 million in his CPF at the age of 67. So I met these 4 legends, but all these 4 people, they are doing all these things very quietly. And they are the slaughter of CPF, that's very obvious. And then they do this quietly over the last 20, 30 years, which I feel that there was something call for me to support this 1M65. And then at the same time, I met a lot of HDB owner. who has been, because you know, a lot of Singaporean, right, they bought HDB for the start. And then they fully love to pay their HDB all with their CPF. And then later, did they realize that actually there's this thing called the accrued interest. The interest either add for you or the interest will add against you should you utilize too much CPF to buy a property and then you hold the property for too long. And the accrued interest can be in hundreds of thousands. And I've encountered a lot of HDB owner who has fully paid their HDB with CPF. In fact, they are not making money. In fact, I'll say making money after they sell their HDB at any time right now. The amount of accrued interest plus the principal actually outweigh the market value of the HDB as of today. Which I feel that, wow, it is a pain. And then I was thinking, how can I bring this awareness to the public? And the only way is that I set up my own academy. And then I'm very thick-faced. I'm going to meet Mr. Lu himself. That was last year. And then I tell him, I want to 宣扬 your 1M65. And that's how the whole thing came about. So basically, I just want to get everybody together in the midst of this COVID-19 as well. And of course, I hope that everybody have a good takeaway of 4M65 tonight. And 4M65, honestly speaking, I don't know what is 4M65 about. And I never heard this from Mr. Lu. The only thing I have heard so far is 1M65. So I think that right now we have quite a considerable number of people right now, you know, with us. I think close to 300. I shall pass over, you know, to Mr. Lu and let Mr. Lu start this 4M65. All right. For all encouragement, feel free to give us all this encouragement because I think that Mr. Lu has been giving all this, you know, all this seminar, right, and all this sharing, right, more than 75 sharing sessions at no cost. It's for free. I think that he needs a lot of encouragement, which I will share this. Our previous session is on 1M65. A lot of you actually text me and WhatsApp me, you know, to share some testimonial about Mr. Lu, which actually has sent it up to him as well. All right. So thank you everybody for being here. And right now, to cut everything short, I'm going to pass to Mr. Lu. Okay, Mr. Lu, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Sorry, his name is both Noel and Dragon. I find it very, I can call him Longer or I call him Dragon, okay? So first of all, thanks Dragon for this wonderful introduction. This is a follow-up session from the earlier talk that I had with your team and with a group of followers and friends that you have. We talked about 1M65, the last round. Now, interestingly, I travel a lot to Europe. In fact, I travel every month to Europe, but that was before the outbreak of COVID-19. Now, but because of the outbreak, I was grounded in Singapore. And, you know, I was like the Chinese Kung Fu masters. When you are being locked up in a cave, you know, you got nothing to do. Either you get fat or you go and practice some Kung Fu, right? So somewhere in February, I actually started this this research and seeing that, you know, whether we can increase our returns, you know, beyond 1M65. And out of that, Kung Fu practicing this 4M65 come about. So today I'll share a lot about 4M65. For some people who have missed the talk on 1M65, Dragon, that session is recorded in YouTube, right?
Yes, it's recorded in YouTube.
Okay.
So I can send it up later on.
Okay, maybe you can send up the link for everybody to listen. But more importantly, today, I'm actually trying to share things at a higher level. So first and foremost, let me introduce some disclaimers. Okay. Number one is that I do not work for the CPF board, and neither do I work for the government. Apart from all the interest payment that I get from CPF board, I actually do not get a single cent from CPF or the government for sharing with this. I work very closely with them in some of the talks, but I don't work and don't represent them. So things that I say, sometimes they like what things I say, sometimes they don't like the things I say also. But you know what, fortunately, because I don't collect money from them, I can say what I want. So the things I share today will be really for all of you all to listen, okay? First and foremost, who wants to be a millionaire, right? Now, normally when I ask this question, I get to see all the hands that are raised up, okay? So really, but this time around, I know we have got 300 people. I don't know what's the latest count right now, but but I think really all of us wants to be a millionaire. But today's session is not to teach you to be a millionaire. Today's session is to teach you to be a multi-millionaire. Now, first and foremost, I need you to be psychologically prepared. To be a millionaire is, of course, not a walk in the park, right? Not everybody can be a millionaire, okay? To be a multi-millionaire is, of course, a kung fu that's even higher, more difficult, but it can be done, okay? It can be done, and I'm not selling any product. So I'm not selling a service, I'm selling product. I'm just doing this for the good of Singaporeans, okay? So today you'll be learning how to be multi-millionaire. It is not a walk in the park. Not all can do it. In fact, many cannot do it. But I'll give you the formula, and then we can discuss how easy and how difficult is it to be done. Okay. First and foremost, okay. Let me introduce myself. I'm really an ordinary Singaporean. Okay. I was born in a fairly simple family. My father was a sole breadwinner, who was a primary school teacher. My mom was a housewife. They brought 3 kids. We had a normal Singapore education, and I studied in NUS, and eventually I went to a business corporate life, and so on. But in my life, I discovered, and in my previous talk, I've encountered with a tough time in the Asia financial crisis, and which I lost a lot of money. Fortunately, I was heng, just plain lucky. I get to meet a financial guru who changed my life. Okay, and today, what I share with you, a lot of it is the flow on from what the financial guru has taught me, and he's very kind-hearted, and I'm just carrying on the kind heart that he gave me. So this today is my 77th talk. Okay, I talk on 1M65 and money matters for 77 times already since 2015. The cornerstone of my 1M65 strategy is this. Okay, that in my previous slide and my previous talk, I've shared you before. To make $1 million as a couple, all you need to do is a couple at 30 years old, each of you go and top up your MediSave and your special account up to 130,000. You don't even need to top up to full. To full today is about 181,000. It's called the FRS, full retirement sum. It used to be called the CPF minimum sum, but it's been changed to the full retirement sum. You top it at 130,000. At that point in time, that was about the max I could put in. So the time was special account was about 100,000 max, and MediSave was about 30,000. So if you fill it up and let the power of compounding flow on for 30, the time was 30 years old, so I let it flow for 35 years, and you will multiply and compound to $500,000 each. Add both together, you get $1 million. Okay. Now I've shared with you before on this one. By the way, if anybody wants to take any screen capture, this is a very important slide. This slide make one big assumption. The assumption is that it says that from 30 years old, me and my wife do not need to work anymore for the rest of our life, and we'll still have $1 million. Why is it so? It's because of the 4% compound interest that is in the special account and MediSave account. And so for 4%, if you put in 130,000, let it compound over 35 years, each of you will have $1 million. And that assumes you don't work. So the question is, this is the corner of my 1M65. Everybody was excited about it. And more companies and people get asked me to talk about this. I've given many talks, came on newspaper many times, came on the internet, given talk shows and things like that. This is a very interesting slide. I was invited by CPF board to talk to CPF about CPF. Okay, and this deputy CEO and the CEO actually giving me affirmation on the 1M65. And in 2018, I was awarded a Public Sector Transformation Award for being a non-civil servant actively helping the civil service. This award is rarely given to to non-civil servant, you know, and I was being termed as Mr. CPF by some of the website. Some people think that Mr. CPF is a good name. Some people don't like the CPF. I understand. Some people don't like the government. I also understand. You don't need to love the government. You don't need to love the CPF. You just need to love their money. Okay, they give you money, you take or don't take. Of course, take, right? So that's basically my journey with 1M65. Okay, and if you were to Google my name, Lu Cheng Chuan, 1M65, 4M65, 1M65, 4M65, 1M45, all this, you will see a lot of articles are written, because I find that I can only reach to so much people by talking. You know, at one point of time, I talk until I got to go and see a doctor about my throat. But I realized that if I write, you know, more people can read it. So to date, I probably talked to 20, 30,000 people, and you know, so probably a few 100,000 people read my articles. And I hope that, you know, you should read it as well. I'm in a process of writing a book, and I'll publish it for free for people to read, okay? So that in hope that many people would improve their financial literacy. So this is the cornerstone of my 1M65 strategy, but this assumes that me and my wife do not need to work from 30 years old onwards all the way to retirement, okay? This is not a realistic assumption, okay? So now what I did was, of course, at 30 years old, me and my wife rushed to top up our CPF. We work very hard, we save a lot. We forgo many luxuries of life. We even put in cash into the special account at this age, and we fill it up around 30 years old. And since then, our life has changed, okay? But fast track about 15 years, okay? So when that was 30 years old, I was 30 years old, then at 45 years old, something interesting. When we check our CPF account, okay, we found that we actually have crossed $1 million at 45 years old, okay? And so that's because we have continued to work. The salaries of our employers that are given to us were contributing money into a special account, ordinary account, all this. And I've been actively pushing money in a special account. And since then, you know, we have crossed $1 million in all account. If you take account of all MediSave, ordinary account, special account, and some of the CPF ordinary account that I put into some shares and things like that. So right now, this year, I'm 47, going to 48 years old. The question is, how much are CPF? So at 45 years old, we crossed $1 million as a couple, okay? At 48 years old, what was our CPF? Where's our CPF right now? It's 1.35 million, okay? This is a breakdown. That's on January, now a bit more, okay? Maybe the CPF IS part a little bit down, but roughly will still be the same, okay? So 1.35 million, right? The power compounding works in such a way that it is a graph. I don't know whether everyone can see. It's a graph. The initial years is flat. Then you will grow up with a very sharp bend. This is the power of compounding and exponential. And I want to impress upon everybody that, you know, if we can do it, you know, so can you, provided that you start young, okay, as a couple, okay? So really, the question is, now given that we are at 48 years old, we are 1.35 million, then really at 65 years old, how much money do we have? Then it is not a trivial question, because to calculate how much money you have at 65 years old takes quite a lot of effort. I realized that, wow, very difficult to calculate. So I did some Excel. It's a huge spreadsheet. After quite a few days of working on it, I come up one big number. I didn't believe it, you know. So fortunately, we have a 1M65 chat group in Telegram. We have got 3,000 over people there. So I've asked everybody, you know, would you be willing to help me to cross-check my numbers? You know, we have shortlisted about 12 Excel experts, and they all check my figures. And to make sure that I don't have any formula errors, and a lot of them are actually financial experts themselves. Some are accountants, some are finance people, some are professional fund managers and things like that. You know what? All of them arrive at more or less the same number, okay? So if we continue to work until 65 years old, our CPF will have a sum of $3.2 million. And what does it assume? $3.2 million, you know, assumes that I just work and don't care. Just leave it there. My wife and I, each will draw a salary of $6,000 with an annual bonus of 1 month, and then we put we continue just let the system go in and just distribute into OA, SA, and MA. We assume that the CPF contribution rate and the interest rate remain unchanged, okay, which is more or less basically what status quo is. I've got a sum of, currently we have a sum of $174,000 in CPF investment. I just assume that it stay flat. That means it didn't grow, okay? One thing I did is that my wife and I still stay in HDB flat, and we do have some housing mortgage, but we pay it in cash, okay? We pay in cash. The reason is that the CPF interest rate is very high at 2.5% or 3 or 4%. We just find that, the bank interest rate is very low right now. I think last time I asked Dragon is about 1.3%. So you borrow at 1.3%, and then you put in money at 2.5%, you make a difference. So anyway, this comes out with 3.2 million, okay? 3.2 million is a big sum of money for many people, including myself, for retirement. And I only need to carry on doing what I'm doing. I don't need to do additional thing. But that's again not a realistic assumption for me, because I'm a good wealth manager, okay? I've got a lot of ordinary accounts sitting there doing nothing. Why? Because I'm waiting for a time like when? A time like now when the market crash, okay? And I've thrown in a lot of my CPF money into the S&P 500. And you've assumed that if the compound interest were to grow at 6%, okay, you will hit a high of $3.8 million, okay? So, sorry, that assumed that my existing $174,000, let me correct this. My $174,000, I let it grow at 6% interest, okay? I don't touch my ordinary account. So whatever money I have in ordinary account stays there. It will grow to $3.8 million. And if I put in all my ordinary account, okay, a few $100,000 into an S&P 500, S&P 500 is a US stock index. It's basically like an average of all the US stock. It will be a whooping, $5.2 million. Okay, $5.2 million. And that assumes that, I've assumed that you grow in this assumption 7% interest, okay? So, 4M6I is very achievable, right? In short, first of all, you start by putting in money as early as possible to max out your special account, and you continue to work, husband and wife. You please don't go and buy an expensive private property. Try to stay in a humble HDB flat. Pay as much as possible from cash in the later years, and then your rest of your ordinary account, okay. Take a time to put into S&P 500, okay? In our case, we would have $5 million. But I think that, not everybody will start the same time as us. So I think 4M65 is a more realistic assumption for most people. And this is how I came out with 4M65, And for those people who are interested to find out at 65 years old how much money you will have in your CPF, one of my 1M65 fans have developed an app, okay? For you just key in. So you just go to our Telegram channel. The Telegram channel is here, t.me/Lou@1M65, Lou1M65. You go to the Telegram channel. First of all, you can download a Telegram app, okay? Telegram is a WhatsApp. It's very easy to use. Go and search for this, channel, Lou@1M65, and then you'll be able to see on the top of our channel, there is a link there that tells you where to download. Download this app and key in the number yourself, and you'll be able to find out how much money you have at the end of 65 years old. For most of the case, everyone is pleasantly surprised how much money they will get, okay? And we have cross-checked this with our Excel, and many people has downloaded it. I think we have got close to 1,000 people downloaded it, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. So please go to our channel. Our channel is very active. We have got a lot of financial experts, including myself, that will help to answer some of the questions. It's a very nice community helping out each other, okay? So anyway, so what is needed for us to achieve 4M65? For me and my wife, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Lu. First of all, stay healthy and stay married. This word stay healthy is often taken for granted. But I think it's very important to stay healthy nowadays, given COVID-19. Stay married is important. Many people ask that, you know, is it, so if 4M65 means one person, 2M65, is it true? I would just say that it's not necessarily true, okay? There is synergy in two persons coming together. Like for example, you have a house, you have now two persons sharing the payment of it. You have one person, is quite untenable sometimes. So I think there's synergy in having two persons. So for those who are married, please stay married. For those who are not married, please find a wonderful spouse and get married, okay? And stay married together. You will have you will be adding a financial synergy to it. Next is that continue to work until retirement, you know, at 65, if possible, even 70. And draw an income of at least $6,000. Hopefully, give you at least a month of bonus. I know people at Dragon Tan draws a hell lot more money than that, okay? And I know that that a lot of property agents within a group also do a lot well. But I only say that you only need to earn $6,000. Now, $6,000 to many people is also quite a big sum of money. But why 6,000 is because the CPF beyond $6,000, you know, you can't draw a single cent or put a single cent into a CPF. Okay. So second is that try not to use your CPF for your mortgage payment. A lot of people tend to think that CPF is a nice place. Where Dragon was saying just now is something I want to educate everybody, that if you have a lot of, especially Chinese, don't like the idea of having debt, okay? Don't like the idea that will borrow money. So they rush to use a lot of their CPF to pay for the property. They will realize that if they have kept their money in their CPF account, they will earn 2.5%, okay? And the loan that they borrow is only 1.3%. So we actually profit the difference. And the property appreciation, you know, don't even cover sometimes 2.5% a year. Okay, so I still have a small property mortgage which I use cash to pay. Of course, in the beginning, you know, when you're young, it's probably difficult. But once you cross, you know, 35, 40, 45, you know, I think as much as possible, you should try to use your CPF, not to use your CPF for mortgage payment. Okay. And for us, you know, in order to hit 4M65, you know, at least 10% of our CPF portfolio should be put into a S&P 500 or an equivalent index fund that help us grow 7%. Okay, we'll talk a lot more about the index fund. Just to let you know, these are some of the comments from my Excel auditors. These are people who spend a long time auditing my Excel sheet. I actually saw their feedback. You know, a lot of them were very convinced that, wow, this is a very, very good strategy called 4M65, and they realized that, no, this 4M65, unlike many strategy, doesn't involve a lot of luck. It involves a lot more guts, knowledge, and do it as quickly, right? So anyway, the other one I want to say is, so we talk about 4M65, right? Just now, remember, I already said that now me and my wife, leaving things as it is, you know, putting money in the right place, we're able to hit 5 million already. 5 million by 65. Then many of aggressive, you know, fans actually asked me, Mr. Lu, so can we do even further than that, right? So again, I closed my door and, you know, practice some Kung Fu for 1 or 2 weeks. And then I came back with a few suggestions. Number one is that this, I think, where Dragon actually mentioned just now, you can contribute up to $37,740 a year, okay, voluntarily. So if your contribution, your CPF does not hit this limit, you can put in cash, okay? And if you haven't hit your CPF special account limit, you know, you can transfer some into it. So every dollar that you stretch to hit the 7,740 is something that you can continue to put in your CPF. Think of CPF as a snowball. rolling down a mountain, right? A snow mountain. And when you put more and more into the snow mountain, into a snowball, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? So that's the first suggestion. So in this case, if I put in, I think you will probably help me stretch another 100, 200,000 more when I retire. This is very interesting. This is a CPF hack that very few people know, okay? And I think this is the first time I put it on the slide. First of all, the $37,700 is a CPF contribution per job. It's not per person. Very few people know that. If you have one job, your cap that you can put in is $37,740. But if you have two jobs, you can put in $37,740 times 2. Aha, I can see Noel and his eyes blinking, shining brightly already. You can put in more money. Right? You can put in more money. You actually could contribute more money into a CPF if you've got two jobs. Of course, some of you all say, you know, to work two jobs is quite difficult. You know, that's true. So it really depends how you stretch out your time and, you know, work with companies and negotiate companies. I work in two jobs. You know, I have two companies that are paying me salary, both contributing money. So I think it's very important for you to explore that. Now, this is not for everybody, but you're asking me how to stretch, right? So that actually help to stretch. That can help to stretch it as well. Next, many of you all have taken money out of your CPF to pay for your housing mortgage. Okay, there is this thing called accrued interest. So if you have used $400,000 for your housing mortgage, you actually kind of owe your own CPF account. It's your own money, okay? But when you sell the house, you must put back, you know, an additional $112,000 more into your own CPF account. And after 30 years, it will balloon to some phenomenal sum, okay? 400 over 1,000, okay? So one way, if you want to top up your CPF account as early as possible, is to actually use cash to pay and put money in. You're allowed to pay up to accrued interest that you have not put in. So it is somewhere another means of putting money into your CPF account, okay? And therefore, you can then roll your CPF retirement snowball bigger and bigger, okay? Yes, this is not a poor man game, okay? There are a lot of people who are low income. This is not for you. I already say the, you know, 4M65 is not for everybody. But for those people who wants to do it, okay, it can be done. The second type of people who will find that it's a bit difficult for you to do is if you think you're too old. For two things for people who are beyond certain age. Number one is that I used to think that, you know, once you're 40 years old, 50 years old, it's too late. Not true, okay? Now we have got prime ministers, they are 90 years old. Now there are presidents are 70 over years old. I don't know where I know, but since COVID-19 outbreak, the chief, the virus scientist from US is this guy called Dr. Anthony Fauci. I didn't realize, but he's close to 80 years old, you know. The longevity of Singaporeans and the people around the world has increased, and a lot of times people are very economically active right now. So don't tend to look at yourself at 65, right? 65 is just a number, right? If you can't do it at 65, do it at 70. You can't do it at 75, do it at 70. You can't do it at 70, do it at 75, right? So it's not too late, okay? It's not too late. If you think it's too late, it's not too late for your kids. Okay, it's not too late for your kids. Tell them this early. Tell young people, tell your nephew and your nieces, tell your kids, and start them early, okay? Start them early on this journey, okay? So what's holding everybody back to become a CPF multimillionaire? I can think of three things that is causing this problem. Number one is a lot of people don't have faith in the CPF system and don't have faith in a PAP government. Okay, I need to say that the first one, I don't have any slides. I just need to say this. Do not let your discomfort with the PAP government disturb your money-making scheme through the CPF. Okay, Meaning that if you don't like government, just at least love their money, okay? All right, so second is that the CPF system, yes, there'll be some changes along the way and whatsoever. Most of the time, it is a system that tries to help you. The day when the CPF system fails you is probably two scenarios. Number one, the PAP government has been knocked out, okay? Second is that the world economy or the Singapore economy is so bad, we've run out of reserves, the Singapore economy has not restored, that they have to lower the interest rates and things like that. Those kind of scenario, quite unlikely. Already at 20, at 15, 20 years old, already people telling me, wow, CPF Jaluya, government don't believe. So you know what? I believed, okay? And now today I made a lot of money from CPF, and those people missed out all this, right? So I think it's something that we need to reflect. I will go through in detail on the other two. Number one is that they have blind faith in property. It's very funny. I'm talking to a lot of property agents here. I'm talking to a lot of property investors here, and I'm invited by a property, a top property real estate agent, and I'm going to talk negatively of property. Not true. I just like to say this. I think there's a place for property investment. Number one is that you need a place to stay, right? You need a place to stay. My advice is buy a place that's within your means, within the needs of your family, okay? Do not be enslaved by it. A lot of people buy a house to please people, to trying to think the right word to use, to haolian, it's like to show off, you probably don't need to do that. If your needs, you only have a couple, 2 person plus 2 kids, even a 4-room flat is more than enough, okay? Why do you need to buy a landed house to show off to people, right? The maintenance of a landed house is frightening, it's painful, right? So second is that, if you have a lot of money and you have distributed out to some shares, some to bonds or whatever, and if all spread out, you should have some in property. That I agree. But however, you need to understand that property investment now do not give you the kind of returns that we've seen that our forefathers have gotten. When during our father and Akong's time, the property growth rate are phenomenal. Why? Because the GDP growth rate of Singapore then was 7, 8, 9, 10%. I think those days are over in Singapore. Today we'll be happy to get 2% and 3%. This year will be negative, right? If the GDP can't grow, your property price can't grow, as simple as that. Second is that there's not enough people in Singapore. Yes, so the number of Singaporeans is getting lesser and lesser in terms of new birth. We also don't like a lot of foreigners to come in. A lot of foreigners come in, we vote the government out. So there's not enough people to buy, and then our pockets, in terms of salary, growing phenomenally. How are you going to get those crazy property price increase that you ever had in the past? So those days of property boom are over. So I would suggest everybody, you want to buy a property, buy one that suits your needs, buy one that fits an investment portfolio. Don't buy one excessive, and don't buy one beyond your means as well. Okay, so put the money. If you can beat the CPF by targeting the right property, some of the investors can do it. Go ahead. But I think most people can't. Okay, next. I think this article and several articles that came out nowadays. Your yield from CPF, which is 2.5 to 4%, has already surpassed the gain of the property appreciation. And I think even that's for private property, right? For 9 years leasehold private property, and for HDB, it will eventually go down as well, to zero. So property as investment, I think we need to reflect whether how good it is. Next is that when you want to think of CPF, think of it more as a get-rich tool. Don't think of CPF as a retirement tool. Okay, the CPF as a retirement tool is a slogan of CPF. But I think when you think of CPF, think of it as a get-rich tool, a tool to help you to make money. So you need to throw the idea that CPF is a retirement tool away. Okay. I've got two very interesting slides. Some of your, I'm going to strongly encourage people to take a look at stock investment. Now, stock investment, there are many strategies, there are many complicated ones, but the one that I think is the simplest is what I call a buy and forget strategy. That is just involve a buying of S&P 500 index. The S&P 500 index is a collection of the top 500 US companies, and all you need to do is to buy, okay, and hold and forget. So on the chart here, I actually show the S&P 500 here, okay, and the S&P 500, if you can see, over a lifetime from 1980 plus all the way to now, most of the case, you know, there probably be sometimes in a decade, there's between somewhere around 2000 to 2011 or so, they are actually flat. But if you hold the shares for more than 10, 20, 30 years, it will always go up at some phenomenal rate, okay? 7 to 8%, sometimes even 10%. In fact, the S&P 500 is so strong that even with this COVID-19 crash, you know, even at its worst, that's the chart on the right. If you had bought it in 2016, okay, and even with the crash at its worst, you are still sitting on a 22% growth, okay? And up to today, the market has rebounded, and today, you know, if you have bought at a low, you know, 1 month or 3 weeks ago, you know, you'll be sitting on some very interesting gains. But the point I'm trying to drive at is this. The S&P 500 always compound. And why is this so? The S&P 500 always compound is because it is made out of the 500 best companies in the world. These are Google, Facebook, Microsoft, you know, McDonald's, and all these very big US companies. They are global. They are very good companies and they will always grow, right? So that's why I always encourage people to take a look at the S&P 500 index. It used to be that you can't buy S&P 500 index with your ordinary account. Recently, a company has made that possible. I'm going to introduce them later. I don't make money from them, but they make buying an S&P 500 with your CPF possible. For some people, for us Singaporeans, we like to buy Singapore stocks. I need to say that using your CPF or using cash to buy Singapore stocks is very dangerous, especially the STI index. Let me give you an example. The top corner shows the STI index somewhere in 2007. This was the peak of it. At the peak of STI index, the STI index was about 3,800 points. Up till today, over the last 13 years, the STI index has never recovered back to the point. Okay, never recovered back to the point. And the STI index is made out of 30 to 40 Singapore stocks. Logically saying, you know, as an average, you know, all the stocks must be performing badly. That's why it's this way, right? So buying Singapore stocks is very dangerous. It doesn't compound, okay? A lot of us like buy DBS, like buy OCBC, buy all these stocks. It doesn't compound, okay? So generally, I will avoid Singapore stocks. If you have bought the S&P 500, even at the highest, you super sway. You bought exactly the same point where STI hit the highest. At the same day, you buy the S&P 500 highest. Yes, it will crash in 2008 during a Great Recession. Up to today, even if you factor in the COVID-19, it still returned you 183%. Okay, so how, you know, there's no fight. You know, there's no fight in this. So that's why I suggest to everybody that a portfolio of a CPF ordinary account should be put into S&P 500. For many people who don't know when to invest, just buy and forget. It doesn't matter, you don't need timing. Now is also a good time. The market has crashed a lot. Just buy and forget and ignore it, right? So that's a very important and thing to take note of. Okay, so this is an interesting strategy. I contact this company. Their name is Endowus. Endowus is a company that is linked up with UOB Kay Hian. and you can actually use your ordinary account to buy the S&P 500 through them. They actually don't like people to buy S&P 500 because they collect very little fees from them. But I've spoken to their CEOs and their chief investment officer. For 1M65, you just quote 1M65, quote my name. They will let you buy S&P 500 using your using your ordinary account. And the good thing, when you buy S&P 500, you know, you are expected to buy and hold for a long period of time, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you know, and let compound. It should give you about a 6, 7 to 8% return over a lifetime, okay? Every year, compound annual growth rate. So I think that's Endowers. I'm coming to the end of my talk. This is our 1M65 chat group. Just to share everybody, the 1M65 chat group that we have, we brought in a lot of people. We've got many millionaires, multi-millionaires inside, out of a good heart, helping everybody answer questions. It used to be I answer all the questions. Nowadays, I don't even have a chance to answer all the questions. There'll be a lot of experts that come in and answer questions. I have deliberately stopped everybody from financial advisors or anybody from coming in and try to poach customers. So people who are in this 1M65 group are genuinely helping out each other. You will learn a lot from each other. There's a lot of information inside that we help each other. I thought it's a very nice community. So please join in our 1M65 chat group, okay? So with that, I've really come to an end of my talk, and I would like to allow more time to be given to everybody to ask questions. So over to you, Noel.
Okay, that was a wonderful sharing, Sifu. Okay, Sifu, I noticed that there's a lot of questions by many of the audience here. They still have doubt whether are we able to attain 1 mil by 65. So you know, it's back to 1M65. Probably you allow me to share something that I prepare for myself and prepare for you guys tonight. Okay, probably I share my screen as well. So Sifu, allow me to share my screen now. Okay, now this is what I prepare for myself. In fact, I prepare for some of my previous talk with my other agent colleague as well. Now, why am I so convinced about 1M65? Probably I can show you something about this. I think that everyone is very convinced about this, you know, compound interest of the world. Compound interest in the CPF at 4% or at 2.5, and in fact, the first 60,000 in our CPF account will have an additional 1%. All right, either add for you or it add against you, depend what kind of situation. Now, what I want to share with you is that I shared this recent CPF account in my CPF OA, SA, and MediSave itself. So now I think everybody can see. Now as of today, right, I have close to 330,000 in my CPF account. Now, and probably everybody can see that my special account has actually exceeded more than 181,000. Why I say 181,000? Because this year the full retirement sum is 181, correct? 181,000. So how does the whole thing grow? Very simple. What happens is that I repeat myself. Two years plus back, I attend Mr. Lu's seminar at Suntec, because CPF always love to hold you know, this seminar at CPF seminar at Suntec itself. And this is what I did. I TT actually my OA over to my SA to max it up to 171 around there. And then eventually, you know, the accrued interest, the compounding interest 4% will just grow. All right. Now, next, this is what I did a spreadsheet for myself. I don't have enough expert or 12 expert to audit for me, but this is based on the figure, you know, because I'm age 40 this year, and this is how I did for myself. All right, my OA and SA, and this is my current MA. All right, I think as of now, MA is maximum cap at 60,000. So typically, I do a simulation for myself. Now, assuming that I continue to contribute $37,740 all the way until 55, all the way until 55. No stop, assuming, okay? I cannot be very certain I'll be contributing all the way, but assuming, all right? Now, I have estimated I'll have over of 1.2 million by 55 years old, over. And using this mathematical, because everything is math, you know, it's very standard. You cannot do Chuan, okay? And I decided not to do anything. this figure will just compound itself to 1.7 million or close to 1.7 million by the time I reach 65 years old. So this is one thing that I walk the talk, because typically that when I believe in something, I will just go all the way out. I try for myself, and this is what I did for myself. And apart from that, I really follow the talk. So in a way that I feel that the seminar that which I attend 2 years plus back after listening to Mr. Lu's talk actually changed my life. And what happened is that I actually brought my mom. We can top up either for ourselves or we can top up for our parents. Because I think our parents, they are RA, retirement account. Wow, I think that's the most powerful bank account I can ever find. Because it gives up to 6% for the first 30,000. Wow, that's very powerful. 5% for the next 30,000. And then the remaining is 4%. Now, so what happened is that actually early last year, I brought my dad to the CPF board. So in order to cut queue at CPF board, what you need to do is that you need to actually so-called log in. You need to log in your father's or parents' CPF website. You do an e-appointment, select the branch and date. Now, once I reach CPF, within 5 minutes, my queue is being called. And then what happened is that I questioned the CPF officer back then. I asked them, should I actually top up my dad's CPF RA? Because my dad is 68 years old back then. So, and I asked him one question, 90,000. What will be the payout like? How much will be the total paid out? Because I want to have an overall view of how much interest in total. So the officer replied me back then, over the next 15 years, you have a payout of $750 per month, all right, over 15 years. And the total paid out, after I put in 90,000, the total paid out over the next 15 years will be 135,000. And meaning that the interest over the next 15 years, right, is 45K, that is 50%. 50%. And this 45K is equivalent to $750 paid out over the next 5 years. And what does it mean? It means that so long my father remained healthy over the next 15 years, in fact, the first 5 years, right, this is how I look at it. The first 5 years, this $750, right, is actually interest from the government. Because all the while, I've been paying my parents around $1,000 as a money allowance. So right now, I feel that, hey, this is the opportunity where Cheng, CPF, right, help me to give my parents, right, allowance $750 every month. I just need to top up another $250. That's good for the next 5 years. So this is how I look at it. This is how I look at it. And of course, other than topping up for myself, that's SA, for my parents, right? I think that Mr. Lu, you want to share about topping up for the children, for people, for 1M65 before.
Sure.
Yeah. I just stop my screen here.
Okay. Okay. So I'll talk a little bit about children, and then after that, maybe you can answer some of the questions. I actually have written one article on it. Very interestingly, my daughter, when she finished her O-levels, actually went to work. Then what she did was that she gave me, I think, about $3,000 and asked me to put into her special account. And I said, hey, why don't you go and spend a bit of money away and things like that? She said, no, if I put $3,000 into my special account, by the time I retire, it will be $30,000. 10 times. I said, you jumbo, He said, well, you taught me one, I taught all my kids about 1M65 power compounding. So I went to press the calculator. Oh yeah, it's true. So bottom line is that time is on your kids' side. If you want to make them millionaires, you don't need to give them $1 million. You just give them maybe $100,000 and let it compound and they will have $1 million, right? So depends. So the power compounding is on their side, right? Because of time. So it's important for them to start early. So parents start thinking for their children as well, okay?
Okay, so I think we have a 30 plus question pouring in along the way, just now as you present. I think let's get back to the Q&A, okay?
Sure.
Some question I probably to answer, but I think that is overwhelming over here. Right now, we have 300 plus people here on the Zoom itself. Okay, let's go step by step. Okay.
What about Facebook? You have some people there asking questions.
Okay, I think we go for the Zoominer first. Okay.
Okay.
One of the question is that, hi, Cheng, how about expenses for married couple, 2 children education from primary to university? For example, probably stretch 20 years for the boy able to become a doctor in NUS. Thus, it will be unrealistic to achieve 4M65. Okay, Sifu, challenge, right? It's a challenge to you.
Okay, I think that's a good question. It's all about expectation, right? So I think it's very important for us. I don't know how to say, but to say it diplomatically, let's start with kids. Now I have 3 kids. Okay, I have 3 kids. I work in, I don't have a rich parents. I have 3 kids, and very important for all parents is that when your kid was a baby, you could give them the diapers. You can give them the branded one, which is Pampers, right? Pampers, I think one piece is $1, $1.10. That was during my time. Okay, now I think it's more expensive. Or you can give them Huggies, which I think one piece about 40, 50 cents. Or you give them some NTUC brand or Giant brand, you got one piece of 10, 20 cents. And if you really want to save money, you can use nappies, right? You can use a cloth and wrap it up and wash. My point is all about expectation, right? How much do you want your life to have, and all the luxuries you have will decide how much money you have for investment. Okay, I never had the issue with with hunger, but I don't think we enjoy super luxuries of life. As a result, I got money for compounding. If you want to fund your children for education, ask them to pay for it themselves. Ask them to work for it. I work for my own university education. I got a scholarship. Okay, I studied hard. I got a scholarship, and those expenses are not enough. I teach tuition. I work a part-time job, right? Teach your kids to stand on their own feet rather than giving them the money themselves. I think that's a very important thing that we as parents need to educate our kids. Right? Today, I really upfront tell my kids that I don't think at my death, I'm going to pass all my millions to them. Okay? They will get some money, but I want them to be able to stand their own feet. In fact, my instruction is that I do not want to give them too much money. So long and short is it difficult for you to achieve 4.65? Of course it's difficult. 4 million, you know how easy it is. But it is possible if you make certain adjustment in your life and strive very hard. Okay?
Okay, next question, Asifu. Okay, by Leon E, you're saying that my parents are 70 years old. So how can they restructure their CPF fund to maximize return?
By 70 years old, to be frank, you want to be a bit more conservative rather than, yeah. So my suggestion is at 70 years old, make good use. They already have CPF Life. I think that's a very interesting scheme. You can, I think, top up. I think you can still top up $7,000 a year, and you get some tax relief. And the $7,000 have 4% return. Okay, and they can draw, I think, almost like a savings deposit withdrawal, right? So I think it's even easier now. You can use Pay Now to withdraw. So I think there's some little ways there you can do it. But I would suggest that at $7,000, at 70 years old, try not to take on big investments like S&P 500 investment and things like that. Okay. Next.
I think to add on, right? I think that if for many of us where parents do not have adequate or sufficient CPF in their retirement account, you can actually help to top up, because I think that the interest is fantastic. It's awesome. I cannot find a bank that paid me 6% for the first 30K. I can never find that. And I'm aware that there are some of my colleagues, they are actually tapping on their parents' RA as a saving bank account. Just that they don't go around and share. Because it's just that because I'm so passionate about CPF Fund M65, that it's along the way when you start to share more and more people relate to you. All right. Now,
yes.
Okay, so for the next question, CPF Life. If I choose basic plan, is there a way to keep my RA at 60,000?
Okay. So first and foremost, I'm not an expert with CPF Life. Okay. I have got CPF people talk to me countless times about CPF Life, and it just passed over my brain. Two reasons. Number one, CPF Life is very complicated. Number two is I got a mental block. You know why? Because CPF, I don't know how to say this without sounding rude, but if you have 1M65 or 4M65, that kacang putih CPF life doesn't really make a difference to you. Okay, so my suggestion to everybody is this: work very hard when you're young, top up your retirement account and savings special account as early as possible, so that by the time you reach a day where you have to choose CPF life or when you have to collect CPF life, the money really doesn't matter, right? Ubo beaukin, you know, because you have got so much money from the other side. So it's not really answering your question, because I want you all to learn a way to disregard the importance of CPF life by becoming so rich. Okay, next.
Okay, next one. Okay, now for your CPF OA, you know, that is estimated 170,000 invested in S&P 500. Do you invest lump sum now, or do you intend to do a period of 6 to 12 months? About DCA. I don't understand what is DCA, honestly. Yeah, I'm very new to S&P.
So DCA is called dollar cost averaging.
Oh, okay.
So it basically says that you take a, you take a fixed amount of dollar. Maybe let's say you split 100,000 over 10 months. You slowly divide and every month chop and go. There is no right or wrong. Okay, so sometimes I do dollar cost averaging. This time around, dollar cost averaging, whether right or wrong, very difficult to say. But I really, tambah in close to six to $700,000 into the stock market really. Okay, and in this crash, I am a person who likes to go against the trend. Meaning that when it crash, I buy, right? So I only buy when it crash. So sometimes dollar cost averaging take a too long a time. Okay, so but in normal time, I think dollar cost averaging is fine. During this COVID crisis, if I want to take advantage of it, I cannot wait for, wait 1 month. This time around it dropped down in 1 week and 2 weeks, and then it shoot up in 1 week and 2 weeks. So it's don't have time for you to do dollar cost averaging, right? So I suggest that, but you know what? All these fluctuations doesn't really matter if you look at a grand scheme of things. Over a long period of 10, 20, 30 years, it really doesn't really matter much. So I would suggest that when you have the money, just go for it, and you might want to spread it out if you're fearful where the market go up and down, and just to build yourself some confidence. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that it depends whether your risk appetite is that. I only say risk appetite, so long you can sleep well, correct, Sifu? You must be able to sleep well after putting in the money.
Yes, so I think it's very important that you only put in money that that is in some form that you're comfortable, that will not cause you a sleeplessness. But you know what? I encourage people to use their CPF ordinary account after they have filled up your special account. Use ordinary account, because ordinary account anyway you can't touch for a long time. It's just the right money to put in. You can put money in the property market for a long time. Why can't you put property market? You can put ordinary account in the property market for a long time. Why can't you put ordinary account in the stock market for a long time? Right? The only difference is property is not so easy buy and sell. Stock market very easy buy and sell. Therefore, you buy and sell easily, right? So you should have adopt the same kind of mentality for property and adopt the same mentality for stock market. Okay.
Okay.
Can I suggest we answer all the S&P 500 and ours, all those questions first, since we're on this topic?
Yeah. So long it's all related to investment, right? Okay.
Yep.
Another question is by Sally. Sally was asking, right? Can we use S&P using USD to buy? Oh.
Okay.
USD, yeah. Correct.
Okay. So first of all, S&P 500 is a US index. Even use Sing dollar, they'll convert to USD in the back end. So it's very important to take note that S&P 500 is a US index. So there is only one company that CPF allowed you to buy the S&P 500 using ordinary account. That's true. This company called Endowus. And the reason why Endowus is allowed is because they collect very little fees. Every other company out there are trying to suck your money dry. That's why the CPF didn't allow them, because they want to collect high fees. So Endowus collect very low fees, so therefore you can buy it. Now, when you buy using S&P 500, so buy S&P 500 using an ordinary account, eventually they'll convert to USD anyway. Okay, so you can use your SRS to buy. You can use cash to buy as well, but specifically for specifically for SRS, sorry, specifically for CPF, only endowers is allowed, okay, in Singapore. For cash, there are many options out there in the world that you can buy S&P 500.
Okay, another one is by the anonymous attendee. What do you mean by mentioning your name to endowers to get invested in S&P? I thought they refer to endowers have already offered to all investors as part of their CPF portfolio, which invest in other unit trusts.
Okay, so I think what they like to do is to sell package funds. I think they'll try to mix some bonds and some global funds into it and sell it to you. For S&P 500, the last I know is they don't open up to the whole market. But I've been urging them, please allow people to buy it, and they say, okay, all you need is just code 1165 or code Chuan. They will allow it. So I think, but to date, many of our fans and followers have already bought the S&P 500 through them. I think a minimum investment is 10,000 through a CPF, and I think that's a reasonable sum. You want to see something interesting, okay?
Okay. Another is on the view. What is your view on robo investment like stash away endowers? Wow. Okay.
I put it that way. I like to buy from companies I know they will last for a long time. Okay. Endowers, yes, is fairly new, but behind them is UOB Kay Hian. UOB Kay Hian Beto lah. UOB Kay Hian is backed up by UOB. So I'm more comfortable with them, and the founders of endowers are all very loaded. So I'm more comfortable with them. Even if endowers were to collapse, there's UOB Kay Hian behind them, meaning that your money is all safe with UOB Kay Hian, because they are just endower is more or less just like a middleman in that sense. Okay. Stash away, Crystal, Sci-Fi, and all these little companies. First of all, a lot of their founders are all foreigners, and I think one of them from Rocket Internet and things like that, which have a history of hit and run. I think if you want to buy e-commerce through startup, I think it's okay. You want to buy a dress, you want to buy an earpiece, you want to buy a phone, I think it's fine. You want to buy, that's it. But if I'm going to put money into a company that I expect to invest for a long period of time, I better make sure that I have comfort that this company can last for a long period of time. I would suggest that this kind of risk, using small startups without big financial backings or big companies backing them, I think it's a risk that I wouldn't dare to take. Okay, so for those, a lot of people ask me from this, I would say that, you know, these are risks that you are taking with, you have to open up both eyes and ears and have a lot of guts to do that. Okay, next.
Okay. Okay. Now, somebody's asking about, are you only talking about S&P? How about Nasdaq? Yeah. So by Juliana Wall.
Okay, so here I am talking about 4M65 using a CPF. Using a CPF, so far, I think the only instrument that can go for is the S&P 500 index. If you want to use cash, there's a lot more instrument out there. You can go for the Nasdaq 100. You can go for bonds. You can go for commodities. You can go for a lot of other things. But specifically for CPF ordinary account, I think apart from Singapore stocks, the only one that's open up to be allowed, which I'm comfortable that will compound a long period of time, is the S&P 500, and that's the only instrument that's available.
Oh, okay. Okay, so one question by this Alex Gold. He was asking that with interest rate falling almost to zero globally and equity risk premium expected to decline as well, is the 7% compounding annual growth rate of SPX a medium expectation, or is it a conservative estimate? I think meaning that he was asking 7%, is it conservative? Okay, and number two is that what is the probability that you put on CPF reducing their OA or SA rates? Okay, so over the next 15 years.
So your first question is 7% is too high or too low? Are they saying it's too high or too low?
Medium or
too conservative or too aggressive? Okay, so maybe I'll give you a view, okay? The S&P 500 is an index that has lasted for close to 100 years. Some fong lang lang yu, you know, all kind of storm he has gone through. You think COVID-19 is a big storm? Think about World War II. right? At the initial days, the Americans were losing the war. Think of the Great Depression. Think about all this big, big kind of nuclear holocaust threatening U.S. So it has gone through a lot more threats and things like that. And yet, in those crises, they have survived through. They survived through and compounded at even astonishing rates. So, in that sense, if we look at history, and look at now, I think it will continue to compound. Now, whether is it 6%, 7%, 8%, 9%, I don't know, but I think it will still compound strongly because the S&P 500 consists of top 500 companies of US, which essentially the top 500 companies of the world. So if these companies are no longer performing as top companies, they will drop out and new companies will be added in, right? So I think that's a very important point to take note. The second question is on ordinary account and special account and return rates, interest rates. Will it hold? I think the same question I asked myself and many people asked me 20 years ago, right? The same question is the same. I think if you look at trends, the government has been trying to increase the rates rather than reduce the rates because of public pressure. Think about a situation where the interest rate has to fall. If the interest rate has to fall, it must be a case where the Singapore government used up quite a lot of the money already, right? And second of all, the world economy is so bad that it hit Singapore so badly for a long period of time that government cannot tahan giving an interest rate. In that scenario, yes, the interest rate can fall. There'll be huge political costs. There's a lot of people who vote government negatively. But in that scenario, all the alternatives out there will be bad as well. You won't find an interest rate that's good also. So in that sense, it will probably be the least worst. So I think you'll still be okay.
Okay. One question by Steve Fang, right? Okay, hi Cheng, how about investment in REITs beside equity, stock, and share? Still a form of investment in property that is without getting to mortgage loan over the next 25 years. Paying bank loan interest and borrowing bank loan amount. At least there's a monetary safety net to fall on as REITs are rather liquidable and returns are 90% according to local law.
I'm very negative about REITs, particularly after this COVID-19 crisis. You think about it, what will happen after COVID-19? Because of this circuit breaker and globally as well, a few things will change in life probably forever. Number one is people will start realizing that you can work from home. I never thought that I could give webinars. I said I must meet my audience and things like that. But now LL, right? You have to continue to meet people, but meet people remotely. Last time we think that we cannot work remotely from home. Now we can, okay? And chances are, and also second is that a lot of companies were forced to survive by going online and say, I can actually sell a lot more. I have a startup that they're selling cookies, that I'm mentoring them. I'm sitting on a board and mentor about 6 or 7 companies. And this little company actually was on the verge of dying. Suddenly, when COVID crisis came, they were forced to sell online. Their business exploded, right? They cannot take in so much orders. Every day at 8 o'clock, their business, they take in business orders for the day. And they open up the internet for orders, a website for orders. By 8 o'clock, 30 seconds, 100 orders slot all fill up. Right? They never seen this kind of thing before. Then they realize, wow, why do I need to pay so much money to retail space? The world has changed. Companies and employees will realize that I don't need so many seats to house all my employees, right? The world of REITs is going to be hit so badly, in my opinion, that I don't think we want to take that risk. I could be wrong. Most likely, I'm right. Okay, that risk is not worth taking.
Okay, next question. Okay, so back to CPF again, because I think that we answered quite a number of investment. One question is by this Huawei Nova 3i. I think they never input the name. Okay, my dad is 88 years old. If I transfer, let's say 30K from my OA to my debt RA. Can I choose not to redraw out the money payment so that I can keep the full 30K to earn the 6%?
First of all, I think okay, first of all, I don't exactly know the limit you can transfer, okay? I think you can. The complication is this, first of all, are you a single child? You're a single child, and first of all, is your father going to will the money to you through his nomination? The issue is not a policy or legalistic question. I've seen many people come to me with many family complexity that after they transfer money to their parents, thinking that they can siphon out high interest from the CPF, but later they realize that the father has decided, has passed on without putting a proper nomination, and part of the money have to go to their siblings or go to the wife and things like that. And then there's a lot of family complexity comes out of it. So, maybe I'll just say this, if you want to give money to your parents, give it to them, helping them to maximize their retirement returns, and don't expect it to come back to you.
Okay, I would suggest to the Huawei, right? Okay, is that it's best that you check with the CPF board, just like what I did. I brought my debt down and then I checked with them. As my last conversation, that was early last year, it was saying that at the age of 70, as easy, you have to take out the money. All right, from 65 to 70, probably you can put a saving there, but at 170, you have to start to withdraw the money paid out for all Singaporean. All right, but I think your debt is 88. I think we got to check it out. Okay, next question, Sifu, by Jerry Tay. He was saying that my wife has 60K in SA. She's not working, and this year she's 47. Now, and if assume that I am affordable to contribute to her CPF account, what is the maximum or possible amount that you think I should top up, Loy?
So, Loy, so you got to, okay, first of all, there's a max that you can top it up, is 181,000. So you can top up any amount up to 181,000. It used to be you cannot top up more than 37,740. I think if it's specific to the special account retirement account, I think you can top up to the max of $181,000. My thing is look at your own family situation. If cash is not an issue, I will quickly go and top it up the full. Right, the interest is astonishing. It's a big amount. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Okay. Let me see. Next question. Okay. By the anonymous attendee, I don't know whether this question is relevant or not. He was asking is that whether CPF OA SRS allow you to buy the Lion Global World Index.
I have no idea what the fund is. Okay, so the answer is I don't know. It's best you check with your fund manager. There are maybe thousands of funds out there. So you throw one out of the blue, I wouldn't know.
Okay, so this is interesting, because just now you are mentioning that one of the quickest way to accumulate your CPF saving is having two jobs. So it's a question by anonymous attendee. Can you share more about your two jobs that you are holding? Are they full-time job, and how do you manage the two jobs?
Okay, so I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I've a company that I hired myself in that sense, right? And I'm also a consultant to a company, so I also get I get consultant salary. I get a salary as a job as a consultant to the company. So both are firing more than $6,000 into my job. So that gives me income. So you have to, now everyone will be different. Now there are a lot of people that can find themselves part-time jobs, of the various forms. So you have to look at possibility. Now, someone asked me, can I set up a company and pay myself CPF? The answer is yes, but you also got to realize that you will have to pay additional income tax as well. So I don't suggest that you want to deliberately do that unless you really find another company that gives you another job. Okay, next.
Okay, next. I think today we have a lot of millionaire, multi-millionaire in this Zoomina, 300 plus here, because there's this lady, Carissa. She was asking any advice where to park cash, a lot of cash. So okay. Probably Sifu can answer that.
Okay. First of all, make sure that you have really maxed out your CPF special account and MediSave, right? Second is, I don't know how old are you. If you have hit 55 years old, you can also top up additional from 181,000. You can top up all the way to 254,000 or something like that to your retirement account. So that will give you 4 to 6% interest in total. So that's a big sum of interest. Beyond that, I always advise people, you know, if you're good investment, you're not good investment, park money in the S&P 500, put money there and forget it, okay? Park and hold, prepare and let it run for 10, 20, 30 years and just let it run. That's the easiest way, right? That's the most, in some sense, if you look at a long time horizon, that's the best way to make money. Any more you need, if you really have a lot of money, you know, I think there are private equity funds and things like that, you know, that can help you. I put some money in private equity funds as well. They can return a lot of money, but the initial investments are quite high, you know, usually in the millions.
Okay, super. Okay, super. One more question. Now, I think that a lot of people are still asking, generally they're asking about the same question in the same direction. One is by Jolene Fu. Now, she's asking, can I withdraw my CPF OA or SA once I turn 55? I think that...
Okay, it's a good question. It's a good question. I think most Singaporeans don't exactly know what happened at 55 years old. So at 55 years old, first of all, the government will look at your special account and say that, you know, you will take out $181,000 and put inside the retirement account, okay? And then the rest of money you can all take out. If you haven't hit the 181,000 in your special account, they will look at your ordinary account as well and pull 181,000 together and put it on retirement account. The retirement account at 181,000 will compound all the way to 70 years old, I think. Sorry, at 65 or 70 years old. And then slowly the money will come out in the form of CPF Life to you. The rest of money you can all take out, which I suggest to most people, please don't be in a rush to take out. Because interest rates are very high. Put it inside and let it compound. You take it out only when you need the money. Because once you take the money out, you can put it back. And you lose out on your interest payment, okay? Now, if you don't have enough money to hit $181,000, I think, sorry, you can, if you want to take out more money, you can pledge your property. You can pledge your property half to meet half the FRS. I think it's called BHS, Basic Something Scheme. So half of it you can pledge your property, so you can take out the other half of it. I'm back to the point I'm trying to drive at is that all these schemes that allow you to take out money from CPF, don't be too shallow, you know, and don't be a rush to take it out. You know, take it out only when you need it, right? And leave the money inside to accumulate interest. I think that's the key message I want to drive at.
Okay. Okay, super. I think by Juliana Wall again. She was asking that, Mr. Lu, may I ask on S&P, given that the return for the last 12 months has been negative, because that we know that the S&P crashed, right? That was
what month? Sorry.
May I ask again on S&P, Standard & Poor, given that the return for the last 12 months has been negative, how do you compare with ETF or silver? I mean gold. Gold, ETF or silver?
So first of all, it is not true. I really shared my it is not true the last 12 months is negative. Sorry, last 12 months is negative, but if you hold it for a long period of time, since last 5 years, it will still return you a positive number. You cannot look at stocks and shares by monthly, weekly kind of numbers. When you put money into a stock and shares, you must be prepared to hold for 10, 20, 30 years. You have to. You buy property, you will do the same thing. Why wouldn't you do the same thing for stock and shares? Right? Stock and shares must have a time horizon of 10, 20, 30 years. If not, then you will not get the kind of gains. I am not very for gold and silver, this kind of instrument. I consider them maybe wartime or mega crisis, food crisis, existential risk. A whole country going to bomb by nuclear bomb and it can run a 着火 the kind of a situation. Then gold becomes very useful. So maybe in the beginning, COVID-19, there's also some fear of whether life and death, those kind of things go become more useful. Other than that, gold itself doesn't create any value. S&P 500 is a mix of 500 top companies. They create value, right? So I wouldn't be too into gold and silver. Okay, next.
Okay. So because it's coming close to 10, shall we have 3 more questions? Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. So everybody can have a good rest. Now 3 more questions. I think I'll go straight to the point. Now. Okay, it's talking about SRS.
Sure.
SRS. So, okay, where's the question? Just now I saw it. 跳去哪里嘞? Okay.
We can ask another question, no problem.
I can ask another question. Okay, this is by anonymous attendee. Now, Mr. Lu, if invest in CPF OA through the portfolio 60-40 through endowers, ?
Okay. So I am a person who don't like to put the S&P 500. If it's by itself, I like by itself. When you mix with bonds, it helps to cushion off some of the downside. So your fluctuation won't be so big, but the returns also won't be so big. So I don't quite fancy, because the S&P 500 most that I can tahan. At the worst crash, 30%, 40%, you'll be gone for a few months and then you rebound back. So I can kind of tahan that kind of fluctuation. So I don't like to mix a 60-40 kind of product. But it really depends on the individual, right? If you don't like too much fluctuation, the 60-40 plan that endowers have, I think is a good plan as well. It helps you manage your risk, manage your fluctuation, but you also curtail some of the returns as well. Next.
Okay, yeah, I find the question. That's by Anderson Lam. Okay, how do you recommend us in utilizing SRS? So SRS, okay, in the 4M65 strategy. So SRS are probably quite a number of you probably have not heard about what is SRS on top of the CPF. Maybe Sifu, we can elaborate on that.
SRS is really a scheme that help you do tax deferment. Okay. Meaning that if you have a high income tax, then you put money into SRS account, your tax will be deferred to a later date when you decide to take it out, preferably after you retire when income drop significantly. And you can use the SRS to buy a lot of items a lot of shares that your CPF is allowed as well. In the scheme of the 4M65, I didn't take account of the SRS money. If I put in the SRS money, it will grow by another $1 million or $2 million. So it's at the rate we count everything, it's some mega millions already, right? So, but for most of people, I advise them have the same mindset that you have for SRS, put into S&P 500 or equivalent global index that can last for 10, 20, 30 years, okay? And I need to repeat again, putting money into Singapore stocks, especially the STI index, doesn't give the kind of return, and it has potentially a higher risk.
Okay. I think I still have a lot of questions pouring in from the chat group and from the Q&A. But okay, guys, no worry. Later I'll give you a link, the QR code. You can just simply join in Mr. Lu, the 1M65 chat group. If not, you can send your testimonial. If you want to give me some pat on the shoulder or encouragement to me, you can just WhatsApp to me how you find about today's sharing as well. Now, I have a last question here for Mr. Lu. Okay. Now, this is by Jonathan Kong. Now, he was saying that, is there an age limit I can contribute to my CPF when I reach 55? Or can I still contribute? Or it will stop at age 65?
First of all, I think you can contribute CPF all the way beyond 65 as well, okay? Beyond 65, 70, I'm not so sure. I think you can, okay? Although I question whether, at that point in time, after retirement, most of us will find cash quite valuable. It's quite difficult to create. But once you turn 55, I'm sure you can still do it all the way until your retirement. So I think that's a quick answer to a last question.
Okay. Okay, let me show you the screen so that you all can actually start to add yourself into 1M65. If you all haven't added, Let me show you my screen itself. Okay. Now, guys, if you all want, right, you all can actually so-called join in 1M65. If you're not the member yet, there's a lot of helpful, wonderful member of 1M65 to answer your question. Of course, if you want the video link, let me have a time to process the video link about the previous video link of 1M65 and tonight 4M65. You can add me on Facebook. You can so-called WhatsApp me at 82824442. Or you can give testimonial about Mr. Lu, because I don't think Mr. Lu is making any money, over the last 70+ session. It's out of social good. And I'm organizing out of social good as well, because I found that it changed my perspective of CPF. I used to be very skeptical, very TL when I contribute my CPF, MediSave. But it became that I really want to work towards 1M65 myself. So all testimony to Mr. Lu, you can send to me. Like the other few rounds of session, I actually sent to Mr. Lu. A lot of encouragement from some of you. A simple WhatsApp, from Yongling, power when it's 4M65. Great sharing, and by another guy, Jerry, wow, he asked me for the video recording as well. And another by John, one of my neighbor, asking me about saying that the calculator is so powerful that he feels assured with his retirement plan. And then another one is Salway, one of my friends as well, and very informative sharing. So I think that, and this is one of my clients, Hong Yi. Thanks a lot for the sharing, Noel. Inspired a lot of thinking. So all this is organized for social good to keep everybody occupied and plan for your retirement in the midst of COVID-19. All right. We hope that everything will be settled ASAP. So that probably Mr. Lu, anything to say, Sifu?
No, I wish everybody safe and healthy. And I want to say that no matter how bad, how frightening the economic and the health situation will be, all this will pass. And, we'll all come out stronger. So, and what we need to do is also to take a look at our time horizon longer, 10, 20, 30 years, and plan what is the best for us. I wish everybody, will be 1M65 or 4M65. If I can do it, I'm very sure Noel is on his way there. All of us can do some form of it, right? So I wish everybody to become rich, everybody become well-to-do, and everybody become healthy and happy, and have a good night for everybody. Thanks for listening to us for this 2 hours.
Okay, thank you to the 300+ of you here. Thank you for your last 1.5 hour to 2 hours here. Thank you, Sifu. Thank you. And then we hope to bring you the upcoming event by Mr. Lu as well, wherever things that is of value and informative to all of you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Sifu. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll just end this meeting. All right. Thank you so much.
Sorry, one quick. For those people who have questions that I haven't got enough time to answer, just ask them into a chat group. I'll find my time to answer. If not, someone answer for you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. 1M65. Just ask all your question. 1M65. Telegram. Somebody will answer your question. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.